so eni ho ehye nipa da sani ebetu akowiem ene onyankropon akotena democracy eyema bibifo anase enyema yen kwasi broni trim popa ene sentia wade vaccination eba abibiman mu na family plan so mpo no ehye ben ana kwasi broni hye ye ewo krom enti a wade etoa yen eba ne sen ana gay ati atese ewo wiase afana nyinara ene we se illuminati ene we se freemason ene we se sumwe mu ni nyinara ahyase firi he no broni trim po a wade sanyema we nyinara eba no de atoa abibiman mu no ene sen we entram so hwe wake up Africa kwasi da we ni kwasi da bia awia dumienu ekopem awia no mienu live on Royal TV eya dwumadi a ofa poku danko ye executive director edema free the mind movement ene ofa Israel Nkrumah a eye coordinator edema free the mind movement no
ebeka me Kofi Kumi ho
na yesim konya na madi dwumadi ho chiame na ensem bia tise no ye gina twe kronkron so abakosem ene ntwere ahodo so na ede mo hunu ba bia obibini ufiri ene mu a eduro ene soma wo sombo na mabrofo sisi ache ebra so se call together twele kan ye no etumi bam ne no ana hyase o free the mind movement dwumadi e fere se wake up Africa dwumadi so praso say ye fa dwumadi live on Royal TV so kwase da we ni kwase da bia awia dumienu kopim no mienu na ya jo so adwenche na wasemmisa yeye ano e de ma wake up Africa abibiman moma yen sore
one business general Abatown Eyeniko multimedia so pay video editing photo shoot photo editing documentary business advert music video funeral program birthday parties onua uni haukra esan say Niko multimedia ebeye ni nyina na so yenwie yo so we your wedding papa bi Niko multimedia si en ha ho kra o me cover ni nyina ma so we are sorry anaso say we edwumakuo bi a opesa u streaming live u program aye social media handles na aye Twitter Facebook and de keka ho na Niko multimedia si woni how esan so mo ye ni nyina live abra program na ekoso Niko multimedia si omotonton gadget aye media gadget papa ebini aye audio and video equipment cameras speakers microphones mixers ni nyina Niko multimedia aye ho adwuma Niko multimedia ewo Koforidia eho ana motare betimi afre Niko multimedia ewo 0244549107 aye Niko multimedia the media general ewo town. Thank you.
Everything premo ato na premo to say a Royal Television so osomfo Kofi Kumi na medimagwa na mene mpanyifo mienu na ya sinkonwa ewo eye Royal Television so near the Wake Up Africa dwumadie near the asomo onim se mpanyifo mienu a mene om sinkonwa dane dan nyina no eye kwese da bia premo to a eye wo fa ya opoku dankwa a oye executive director de my QFN Free the Mind movement ono ne ba Israel Nkrumah a ono so ye national coordinator de my QFN Free the Mind movement tampanyifo yi kwese da bia du na premo to a e wo fidie yi so na ye sinkonwa ena so premo ato a kwese da yi bosome a toso enson ne da etoso dumiensa premo ato sei ne de abusua ye sinkonwa ye de dwumadie no ebesomo afa ya watrase na ene abusua mo fa ncha yen Israel dwumadie binti wantimi amma abusua ene no ne ama Israel ne titiriwa aya sesei ontumi emma fidie yi so meka yensa no se ne papa a wode ne ba wiase waka nkyene agu na eja waye bapanyi no na kire se bibia esi ne sere so sinina so eno nti ama dwumadie no abeye bebre ewo ne so a enya asem ketwa eno nti ena ya na nsan ntem no ama fidie yi mu ba no aya yentai ehu no eno nti momfa nche no na hyehyeye no eguso ekoso megidi se ototo saa dwumadie ni nyina wia afedie ne nan beye ntientia na mobehu no hare so se na onemo kwese da bia no yetena se na yedi dwuma no obekoso na dwumadie yedi pepepe na wotwe ne ne empanyifo yi tena se no eno mudi ewura mu democracy na ofama yehu democracy no nhyehyeye na ewo ho ni tirimupo ewo ho ema kwesi kokko enam soma ode be hye eye Ghana Africa ena ni titiru Ghana aja ye Ghana fo ni aka Ghana sem na ofa ema yehu bre a ehye ase eye yewura Kwame Nkrumah no so ade nam so abedu yewura Jerry John Rawlings so a du baabi no ye ma oyi ni soja tade e de to ho na no ena ofa be kire se na ohwe soja aban no ene civilian ba democracy mu na hu se eye soja aban no edi ye so cheye pa enu nti e be ma Ghana afi ye ba na se ye mfa democracy emfa nhye no manfo be body akire be huri so ye pa na ke se ye be ma no din se kabi ma men kabi amamuo eno de na ke se ye di mu ntintin man ma ye so mu ma Ghana de na ke se wo hwa ye boyen bambamba yo se ba democracy dia na ke se ye di mu ntintin man pa na no fa de ye wura mu ma ye hu democracy no ni dwumadie ene ni trimu pa ofa da na di ma ye hu se ni nyina ne ba se ebe ko atia obo ade sanse ofa ma ye wura mu ma ye hu democracy nhise ebe bre ene niam omo di agwa akwan mu omo nam democracy di agwa akwan mu a ni nyina no ekotia obo ade na wotwe ene ne ofa ebie we nyina so ekire ye ema ye hu na eye Israel so ba mu a no no so ede ye wura mu ama ye hu eye mpanyifo bi nsam a o maka afa democracy hu a agase o hu democracy no ama ameboa nipa ama ameboa Ghana man ama ameboa Ghana fo nanso yetu adi akira eno ene ye bono yoyo babamba na di yen abedu babi a yedu ye nei nyina no ye jaso kura democracy mu ofa wie ene oye ne se ene ya trasi odi ebe wuram na part 2 na kese aba eno nti ya trasi ofidie no menyi mfi ha Royal Television ene wani guso a wo hwe Wake Up Africa dwumadie freunia na onua freunia na onua freunia na no se dwumadie aha ye di nyansa ye fa nyansa ye nya nyansa ye pe nyansa na ye tumi e de anante na ye de abobra ebia na woni fie na so dwumadie opese wo ka ho ane ukọ abefo tintanso na ohwehwe Wake Up Africa GH me pacho YouTube Facebook dwumadie ubenya ne live na nso utimi aka ho na ye nyina no ye de dwumadie pepepe sanso ena WhatsApp message ene o text message fabreme na making kan e de amount number abefa so no eye 0206 519335 0206 519335 we any number for WhatsApp any o text message fa so bra na making kan e de amount abusia na me bon ka yese se o ye free the mind ni a na se o ye bema e wo free the mind ko ni mu a enkai boy hye no so e fa maye se eye memma kuo a eye men of Zion dwumadi a empanyifo di ahyehye a omudi agu akwan mu a omugu so eye ho hyehyeye bodawuro se eye 23rd of August eye kofodi abonten so apenti hall ebe butubutu ebe bejamaja enya asem kuma enya asem ketwa eye business seminar a omudi bre Wake Up Africa memma kuo ni nyina memma ni nyina ewo mu no momra na momagi nimdie ntitiye hyehyeye pa obetimi ede ama wadwuma ode akọ wadwuma mu ede ahyehye wadwuma ede apa adwuma na usikasem so watimi abo sikasem ho bra bo wadwuma ho bra na usikasem akonkan eno ene dwumadi a ya hyehye a eno nti mpanyifo a ewo eye men of Zion mpanyifo no de agu akwan mu se yemmo emema ni nyina mane obi anyi ne ho mfim Ghana fa na nyina no enye men of Zion mema na ewo freedom mind ko ni mu nko a se wotime ne na mpo wo ya freedom mind ni a wo de wo fie na wontu anamo ma ya so adwumadie bo modern na be piem bi na mfasode a be fim aba no me pa cho edoso yie pa se ne ba ya ye nyina no ye betumi enya sa mfasode ya adwuma enede abrabo no eye adwuma ani sika se woni adwuma ye na usika sem so enko animu a me pa cho eye nsem bebiri ma wo ni titiriw eye mema no unum se mema no ye ne ekọ na yaba na ukọ na oba na se efie ukọ na wantimi afa mafie a eye sa yere no mu no na aye nsem pi na aye nsem bebiri eno nti ena mpanyifo ewo eye ekuo ni mu no ehumpa any adwempa say some of the media we go kwam say be ya be ba boa ama free the mind emema na ewo mu ne de ye betumi anya nyina so pa ye yere no mo no ye ba fie a na kese aye ni je nko a obotom ye da e pa cha otem bia no odo no aya na igirim pa aya na efie na ye de empo mafra hu a omunya te wonka na omutis hu ayia na no no mu dimirika because omu ni se da aba ne de bibi eba wei enu nti ena mpanyifo de sa dwuma de egu kwam enyi ho mfim na bomoden apente ho kofo du abonten so na ye nyina Ghana man nyina free the mind yentumi piem na dwuma de yendi emfa nhye obade ene onyam yeda obi bi ase afi ye kofa ho na afi yada na di na dwuma de no yede ahye so ava
koi
famo akwaba
mejo so
yiri se bibia eboko
obade ada roma
yeda obade
ya de din
yeda obade ase ofa mi say democracy last week na otwene na odi ewuram ema ama yehu kwan nam so a omode be share kon Eastern Europe na Eastern Europe Soviet Union agua na afi omunyina na abaye amamman different omu obi abenya obi anya na independent wade ne ho na eho no so ahokire abaye sa ahokire akom so na Africa so ehia aid afi Western ho na Western gina sa de no se ene Africa se mo amfa democracy dia ene monka hu se aid no Eastern Europe for so no mo so di aba no ene be da ne yani akire ho no enam so ma o ma yehu se ma Africa yemudodo na na kese o kan 32 states you know 32 countries you know almost o say 22 military military ma akire no mo nyina no sa afi omo yiyi omo military entade no egu ho ampa ene no o hwa na kese Africa obi a democracy na o twene ne o ma yehu me nsa emre kra se o kan se o ma yeti ase ene no gbesan die ewuro mpa 2 eno timi da je ndi ama
yo kofi
me da se
di ka ebe chi
ahwefo eje so
na no kre se dia o ma summary ni nyina no bibia ba mu pepepe na yebedu mpempenso a ewiase nyina role model America egaso mu na democracy omo tu ne franca no mo ka se ewiase nyina no eso bia democracy mpo de President George Bush time so ma ni Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice ono be spread it o chini aman nyina be bia democracy wura bia ekuga ho because have na Arab Springs wo nke ka ho ni nyina dictators ne tigu maku ma the democracy ko wura ho nyina enti America ono ye role model we are seeing now when it comes to democracy na woman so na kan bibi say America we see a o sinizi pe na we are seeing anya cool enti sene woman kasa ehun say machinery na dey to abado gidi ewu mu na irade a na akade enti ahụ na edru ya last week ya di bad ye ba beto aso na ye ba beto aso do ye pese obi a timi hunu say America pompa ye ne esie so wo mu de na ye kroje no ye hwe ne atototo nti ye bewie ne na ye hwe 2016 elections abra no bia any that so grandma Trump like so the be huri ya obedi ema Hillary who supporters can say or sorry say or when we have a correct video Democrats for deny say oh election here any idea any winning any adjama any never be mushe ya woni this year nti ena ne ye beto so dia ye first picture
okay the first picture no abodin a da so no Daily Graphic 16th November 2020 Biden won because Biden won because election was rigged. Trump and Nana can't wait at the actual America. Mine. Mufa esa enu to somaye. Okay.
And he said, Trump also another president or near elections. No, Uncle Yamanua. I say also so. You ready? And into a Biden. It be nyai. Next picture.
Next picture, no, and also your daily guide, 23rd November 2020. Judge dismissed Trump lawsuit in Pennsylvania. Mufasa, picture no to some family.
And Jacoban say, Trump, oh yes, say, yeah, we are moon. Oh, my, we are to Pennsylvania, dear. And near my course on the net type. And you can file lawsuit. Senior court, a mechanic in Biamano. As Nitiani, and they can say, get this message suit to know. And when we now bass out, now quite to say, the American system, you so much say, and I say anything. If the Nipa be free a 2020 election in Bayern, and all kinds of evidence. I just I didn't say the compound of free baby, and almost got 2 years almost there, and to say the no I best lie. Yes, or there. What more at the center of post office boxes to be AC on do baby. I can say, what do the aqua? The whole no more I just say, in your movie, beam. Into the Sadia, then she filmed the inquiry. In the first video, no, I barber evidence almost and said China for at the printed materials and a buy and on Betty man. Woman call for aligned to one party.
Okay.
And there's a woman call for and a call to a bad one. A commerce, I massive fraud and any money no buy. Your first video.
Your first video, no. FBI officially confirms the 2020 election was stolen. But your video, no. Mama, your video, no.
So, the Communist Chinese, CCP, with the Carnegie Endowment and the CIA, with DHS and the DOJ, brought in massive plane loads of ballots printed in Communist China. And then when all the counting places are shut down at 1, 2 in the morning, in Georgia, in Pennsylvania, in Arizona, in Michigan, in come the trucks, and in many of the videos, we have them, it's Chinese men and women, a lot of times out-of-state plates getting out. So imagine how many people for the Postal Service driving a big truck full of ballots decided to go look. Not many, but we had 2 go public, and then they got threatened by the FBI. So just since I started talking about this when we went on air today, FBI Director Kash Patel reveals Chinese plot to create fake mail-in ballots in 2020 election. Chris Wray hid this like he did the Iranian breach. That's one angle. No. Trump's FBI unveils shocking details of Chinese plot using fake ballots to defeat him in 2020 election. And that's what it did. You look at the numbers, absolutely stole those states. And that's not just the mule operations that were separate. And now this is the new news that just broke. Former intel officer drops truth bomb. Gateway pundit. CIA and ODNI covered up 2020 CCP election interference, fired him for speaking out. Former National Intelligence Officer, cyber under President Trump and Joe Biden, has come forward with explosive allegations. The CIA and Office of the Director of National Intelligence deliberately buried evidence of Chinese Communist Party interfering in the 2020 election and fired him when he refused to play along, but now he's gone public. The whistleblower damning post came in response to General Mike Flynn's tweet questioning why foreign election interference by the CCP wasn't exposed back in 2020. See, the house of cards is falling. So there was foreign interference by the CCP in 2020 presidential election. Who was running the USIC in that time? And did this get expressed back then? And now we know all the details from the documents Kash Patel's given to the Senate and now from this whistleblower. This is ultra massive. And it's a lot bigger than just the ballots. It's the Democrats with the CIA and the censors to control and shut down investigations and the public looking into it. Here it is. It's the proof. They've got the forensic experts that'll show the hack, will show the patch, it'll show the fraud, it'll show the scam, it'll show all those Chinese ballots shipped in, flown in on private jets, fed in, that were all perfectly scantroned, perfectly printed, weren't even folded, were never put in an envelope, were never mailed. They were brought in. We even have the Chinese on video in Georgia and Michigan at 4 a.m. and 3 a.m. coming in with the dollies. Chinese nationals landing in private jets with perfect ballots, hitting us and hitting us hard.
The DHS censorship operation run out of CISA, together with EIP, this four-group consortium of 120 individual censors monitoring the entire internet across 15 different platforms to censor pro-Trump tweets or anyone who cast doubt on the integrity of the 2020 election. In the slide deck presentations of those censors who were set up by DHS, who got to use CISA's 24/7 cyber mission control to flag tweets, in those presentations, they specifically finger out a specific tweet by Donald Trump on June 22nd, and I'll read it. Rigged 2020 election. This is all caps. Rigged 2020 election. Millions of mail-in ballots will be printed by foreign countries and others. It will be the scandal of our times. Now, DHS's censorship network specifically cited that tweet as one of the reasons they needed to scramble to form this wide-spanning, totalizing censorship operation. And the fact that they specifically were set off by tweets by Donald Trump insinuating that foreign countries may be printing ballots or taking advantage of the mail-in ballot system in the operation that Cash just laid out, while that was the triggering tweet among several others to set up this entire censorship operation, while DHS had inside classified knowledge that is exactly what was going down and that Donald Trump was in fact correct.
So they set up these groups that Obama originally set up to say anybody exposing foreign interference is the foreign interference. So the very groups set up to coordinate stopping foreign interference were treasonously running the election theft. Smoking gun, open and shut. We have the videos, the eyewitnesses, the whistleblowers, the USPS drivers. We have it all.
Abusia oguso a wo hwe eye Wake Up Africa dwumadi wo Royal Television so na video eye ko hwe no ye InfoWars eye national television ma information kire kwan efa so eye 2020 election wiemu ba ye we nya se wa betena se no kan kekewu or the document kire enhyehyeye ne kwan one party no fa so ne other nationals of far so kobo mu pau so yom den yo omu che so omu di plane near the ade ahemrate 3 o'clock and omu ye nhyehyeye fa kwan bia so ma ewiem eba so 2020 American election ewiem we evidence wo ho enti papa na okasa no o say we evidence based ade anya say bia ye de ano keke na ye ka enkrata ne cameras ne omu ayi omu aseti nyina no timinya evidence capture niema ma enunti no otena se omu kire we eye oman omu di democracy ba ye ka democracy dia kese omu di muntinti man pa ye ka omu asema na kese omu de omu kire se democracy dia eye krojin na beboa ye ho emponie na ne Ghana over pacho that's it
yo kovi me so me that's any on treat you and when you just the first of the series ye kwa anim no ye be hunu after the election no ekueku bebre so kan ho bomu so omo be ye investigation.
Okay,
that's why the fact is say ebinimonya Alex Jones munya evidence almost show ɛno na mo kan sɛ CCTV camera nkɔfo vote ni ne keka ɛna ebehu ni nyinaa bebree ɛbɛba na wɛnum deɛ ɔmo tena ase yɛ mfidie na de yɛ wɔn interview wɔn ɛne nsɛm ɔmo kan yɛ deɛ ɔmo kan yɛ as against deɛ ɔmo kan sɛ kyerɛ nsɛm deɛ wɔnyan e show sɛ truly you can see a real election more. Okay. Next video.
Your next video no damning video explaining how, why and who stole the election. But your video no share.
Then in November 2020, multiple groups of concerned Americans came together because they all observed something incredible in the 2020 general elections. The groups united to launch a full-scale investigation led by former members of the U.S. intelligence community, the Department of Defense, NASA, the U.S. National Laboratories, private investigations and cybersecurity companies, and legal firms from around the country. The discoveries gained through intense forensic research left everyone involved deeply concerned about the future of our nation and our world. While the U.S. media will undoubtedly discredit this information as far-right conspiracy theory, the fact is the people involved in this investigation represent all colors, all creeds, and all political parties. To ignore this message is to surrender to a government takeover that will gravely affect the lives of every man, woman, and child of every nation. If there ever was an authentic, nonpartisan issue, this is it. In 1970, Henry Kissinger said, "Who controls the food supply controls the people. Who controls the energy can control whole continents. Who controls money can control the world." This concept is critical to understanding the thinking of those who seek to cripple and control America. To achieve their goal, they've got to disrupt families, divide races, destroy small businesses, dismantle the middle class, and distort the American dream of owning land, a home, and everything necessary for the pursuit of happiness and sovereignty. In collusion with our foreign adversaries, these treasonous few are working hard to tear down the last standing wall between them and their agenda of global domination. That wall is you, the American people. By focusing on specific election system vulnerabilities, our investigation confirmed that the entire U.S. election system is under the total control of private equity firms and foreign money. UBS Securities LLC New York and UBS Securities Company Limited Beijing injected hundreds of millions of dollars into Staple Street Capital, the current owner of Dominion Voting. UBS currently holds the intellectual property of Dominion as their equity collateral. Up until December 2020, UBS Security LLC New York listed 3 senior Communist Chinese Party members as being on the boards of both UBS Securities LLC New York and UBS Securities Limited Beijing. The companies owned 75% by the Chinese government. Seidel, the parent company of Clarity Elections, located in Madrid, Spain, a data management and early election night reporting company, went bankrupt in May of 2020 and was subsequently purchased in a closed private equity deal by an Irish company called Paragon. The election sites for numerous counties in the U.S. go to a Clarity Elections web address. The counties don't own or control their voting data, and the positions of president, secretary, treasurer, and CEO are all occupied by one man, Jonathan Brill. Brill also happens to be a part of Seidel's senior management team and has run campaigns for Democratic Party candidates. Our investigation also revealed that contrary to the current political narrative, the election systems and their equipment were connected to the internet, making them infinitely hackable.
Voting machines themselves are not connected to the internet.
No voting machines are connected to the internet.
The devices are not connected to the internet.
They do not connect to the internet.
Those things are not connected to the internet.
The Department of Homeland Security says the 2020 election was the most secure in American history.
The 2020 election was the most secure in U.S. history.
That's what they say now, but just a short while ago, the political narrative was very different.
In 2018, electronic voting machines in Georgia and Texas deleted votes for certain candidates or switch votes from one candidate to another.
We brought in folks who, before our eyes, hacked election machines.
Workers were able to easily hack into an electronic voting machine. It was possible to switch votes.
Even hackers with limited prior knowledge, tools, and resources are able to breach voting machines in a matter of minutes.
Remote access software, which would make a machine like that, a magnet for fraudsters and hackers.
Unfortunately, Dominion has recently been thrust into the national spotlight as part of a dangerous and reckless disinformation campaign aimed at sowing doubt and confusion over the 2020 presidential election. First, there were no switched or deleted votes involving Dominion machines. Dominion is not and has never been a front for communists. The company also does not have any ties to China whatsoever, including no ties, including investment or source code transfer. Let me be clear. Voting systems are, by design, meant to be used as closed systems that are not networked, meaning they are not connected to the internet.
Sounds like some of these machines are showing the tabulators can and are connected to the internet.
Throughout, you're going to, particularly where a vote is cast on election day, those machines tend to and should not be connected to the internet, certainly as a best practice.
But some have the capability, don't they?
Some may have modems that are typically disabled, but in certain states, I believe in Wisconsin, some are temporarily activated to transmit some counts.
But those tabulators are connected on election day because that's how they transmit the data to the counties and also into the unofficial.
In some cases, yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Through forensic analysis of election management system computers in Antrim County, Michigan, affidavits from numerous election officials in Georgia, as well as the operator's manual for Dominion's Democracy Suite 5.5, our teams have gathered indisputable evidence that the entire system can indeed be connected, hacked, and manipulated. And in fact, it was. Here's what triggered this investigation back in 2018. This is the Allied Security Operations Group primary finding in the 2018 governor's race, where a direct flip of 560 votes was made from Matt Bevin to Andy Beshear. So that was exactly 560 votes was deducted from Matt Bevin. 560 votes were added to Andy Beshear. This race was decided by a little over 5,000 votes. So this one switch represented about 25% of the margin of the vote.
Andy Beshear is declaring victory because he is the leading candidate over a Republican incumbent governor in a state Matt Bevin won by 10 points 4 years ago and a state Donald Trump won by a ton.
Here's an example of election anomalies that took place in 2020.
So now we would take the ballots and we would scan them. It's going to feed these ballots through the scanner. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to overvote.
What do you mean by overvote?
Overvote is when if there is multiple people in a section where it says only vote for one.
So you're scanning the same ballots twice. That's already been scanned once.
I've already scanned them once.
Yeah, so you're scanning the same
ballots twice. We just accepted every one of them went through the system. There it is, the fifth batch.
Okay.
It's pending adjudication. I think I want to vote for Biden. Let's let Biden win this one. And complete.
So you made a vote for someone where someone did not vote?
I did, didn't I?
And you're the election supervisor?
I'm the election supervisor. I am the person that sits and does the adjudication.
All right, board, I want y'all to step outside.
Initiated by a court order, the Michigan investigation team obtained forensic access to a DS200 tabulator, the machine that counts the votes. A Telit 4G wireless chip manufactured in Taiwan was discovered embedded into the motherboard. The voting machine tapes clearly indicate modem engagement and transmission of election.
Sabri uguso a wo hye eye Wake Up Africa na ha na authentic ubinya no krojen video aye hye no se e kire yen se 2020 election krono akoso na we ye ekuoku a omo ye nhwehwem na omo de omo hwehwem eba out omo kire se eye machine na omo ye no China for efi China and omo ye baye na China for ye no omo di amene se omo ye in such a way say oya etimi transmit e de call e ma feed e de call ba bia e call and wherever I ma feed ni kwa na transmit call no omo ye no omo sia ye omo kika ho nsem nya na gese bi nyi ntom se da bi eye adwuma America ni de ono ma ne nso wa ti omo hwehwe ye ko biebie machine so omo hwehwe ye omo biebie machine so omo nsa ya mpa na gese omo ti machines no ti mi transmit figures ne ade no e de call fa kon asese ti mi ye transmission dia obi a to mi nya access to not tap paper na gese obetimi a transmit akọ aba ne nche no wanya figures ne na senior person di wurawuram no of manipulating no watimi aye bi eno ehu video kire se 2022 no election no krono pa ekoso nti na gese ne mpanyifo ka se krono akoso na aban na yayi no enye amanfo no na yayi no na mu ye nipa bi a omo wotumi no mfi se omo ho den nti no omo wosika na omo di sa adwuma no eno ene yakohwe over
Kobi me danse na obi be kan se na ade na ye say mre ne dia chirechire mu am ye hu America de say obia oye role model omo de na obia isua se ne kan no by next year no omo democracy no enye 250 years enti no so omo ajatum no omo kire say eye perfect. He say now the latter days here, and I said latter years, one more doubt to the integrity of their voting system. Yeni eti ana de yensu yenye de. Enunti ne yesemre de di ahwe. Na the last video I can America for us me de ejemu amaka say ni de omo hu say one voting system no I break it down until say one bet me fix here enkoye bibia ebe favor bia no America loses credibility when it comes to election. Gregory's report every last one on America that we end to us.
Okay. The last video to us no 2000 felons and zero justice. Gregory's report. Mumfa yehwe sa video no.
In Dinesh D'Souza's 2,000 Mules, a team with over 40 years of experience investigating election security and election fraud provide crystal clear evidence that the 2020 election was rigged. They did so by focusing their investigation on only 2,000 individuals, a small percentage of the entire operation. These 2,000 individuals were tracked via cell phone data and video surveillance cameras, which clearly shows them knowingly committing voter fraud over and over again, while photographing themselves doing it, all acting as mules, delivering ballots from Democrat-aligned NGOs to official ballot boxes in the 2020 election. 2,000 felons caught on tape. This movie provides smoking gun proof that the 2020 election was stolen and makes it absolutely apparent that the entire system is corrupt. Because where is the justice? If America had any actual law enforcement, they could simply arrest these 2,000 mules and start an official investigation, which would undoubtedly reveal what many of us already know, that the people currently destroying America from within were not elected by the American people. But we don't have law enforcement, and we don't have a news media. On a personal note, I have to say that this movie was depressing. Infuriatingly depressing. Yes, it has smoking gun evidence that the election was stolen, but it was also a stark reminder of how the American people have no voice. We knew the election was stolen. That's why millions of us marched on DC in the biggest peaceful protest of our nation's history. It was obvious to us all. But after a few dozen feds fired off a couple flash bombs and murdered an innocent woman in cold blood, the fake Republican grifters ran home with their limp tails between their legs submissively agreeing to never speak of election fraud ever again. Even as hundreds of innocent Americans rot in jail, and even as the country is destroyed from within, they have been silent, all for fear of losing their meaningless jobs, of selling the American people the biggest lie of all, that their vote counts. For those of us paying attention, it clearly doesn't. But that doesn't stop these charlatans from telling you that all you have to do is get out and vote. Democrats are in full support of destroying America, and the Republicans are all cowards. It's a show. Both sides are nothing but prostitutes to the big banks and their lobbyists, happy to see the country slip into the abyss so long as they get their paycheck. They'll sell you the truth online for $20 and hope it satiates you, because that's all you get. There is no justice. The American people are on their own. And the sooner we realize that, the better. Because we, the people, have been praying for a miracle. And that miracle is here. Time. Miraculously, we still have time to act. But that time is rapidly running out. And voting is no longer a solution. Not until we fix this broken election system. There will never be anything resembling a fair and honest election ever again in this country if we, the people, don't come together and exact justice now. Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reed.
When you go to Wake Up Africa, me say I had here ubenya na krujin Royal Television so. Kwesi da du na premo to say ya. Ofa tena kunwa mu say dia. Wo ya ne dan. Ubenya no evidential. Enye se anu keke ne yakasa gbegbegbe no wasore ko. We ye America election no. Ena omo ye se ye be investigate. Inti omo fa nipa 2000. Ena omo de CCTV cameras ni ade e capture omo video ankrofo na ye omo ne pictures omo chicha omo ho. Ena omo sha ase se omo de omo ye the whole election no fraud na course no nipa 2000 no. Ena omo monitor awom on the day of election no. Enyema omo ye nyina. Eno ena hu se okwabra ne timi gina voting no ho. Na ode ade no hihiem na ode hihiem obi ya no atwa ne ho picture chese and 2000 nipa 2000 no omo ye se omo na omo de ne be for the you know na ge se omo hwe ya omo hwe day no omo activities omo ye on the day of election no na ge se sanko for 2000 nyina kro no kwa no omo boy ma e ma e ko di election ko di obi nsam eno ena omo ka se ama America fo ankasa sisi omo ho na hu se election a democracy a yese no ena eba beboa omo ne de bo ayabo achibidin na ne no both parties no omo gu ho no eye enipa bi kuo bi omo watumi wo America na omo ti say omo wasika no omo to omo nyina eti both Republicans ena efe ne say Democrats no che say ye yi $20 mo bia na ya ka omo no atom like I said omo nka hwe enti obako ebuama election year rigging no na obako nso ye say ogina ma justice take place no ono justice no wa mo na ko se empase enti no che say omo ko na omo kwa a yen yakoto aba yen nipa na yakoto aba nipa epeso di yeso no amaso na we na me de ma sama American say American ponie nene ye krom Ghana yen ni sa CCTV cameras impo a ye betimi de acheka ahwehwe sa de we nyina no yen bo asamaba ne ya ne se omuhu sa de we nyina omutimi de evidence ne ba ya na ko hwe se America justice ebe omenya justice no because omo de onimi se omo se omo slogan here freedom and justice nti omo de nka justice de wa regulation na se nya evidence nkwa de esenka ami ye fe ne se omo gina ma bibia ye yi no antimi amaso eno omo se election in America de omo de omo hu se until some best systems no there is nothing Ghana ha ene jejereje over
enu nti ye the America for di ba be ye adisua
okay
e de ama oman bia won so je voting system ni so role model mpo
no ye
de oye enti na we
go
enti no we nyina na e kire say democracy no sania Jordan Maxwell kan it has never worked, it will never work, and therefore them 20 babes. I be crying a mob rule.
Yeah.
Elections are you violence here, covered in a chill BB. A child's a system now, what year this say, Papa. Which year Abraham Lincoln in India, or no over color, no, from mob rule, I don't know better than government of the people, for the people, by the people. Who we say at the papa, you know, a mob rule, and not all can work color. No. Yantin Simniamra, Yagana, dear.
Okay.
If you say, how did this start here? Africa, and have a year back Ghana. The Ecosunina near real elections, Minia, what not see who said democracy, a very expensive social system. How much we spend in organizing elections, how much individuals are able to raise to support their campaigns. And you know, yeah, pony kakra Ghana examples never be.
Okay.
Next picture.
Next picture no a daily graphic.
Na answer cry no. 2016 the last week Democrats vote can say Trump winning you know Russia interference.
Okay.
And you know the next picture no and over ban sign ya Ghana experience no. And they say Russia crowd more elections. Now Timamufu a complaining say I drink it. They don't say America for the interfere now. Picture.
Okay, daily graphic Russia for the 13th October 2009. Concern over rigged elections in Russia. Mufasa picture na to some farmer yen. Ya say mu geze bebia. Bebia.
No. Russia no I so mo na interfere with the video no. Onu kura ni de.
Onu asaso kwasa so na de.
Ko di ni ya rigi ade no.
Oba na se watimi akọ rigi am obi de ase na geze onu ne wo de. Bobo. Waja watimi akọ bi kuku obu kwa tinya akọ ya ma obi de a. Na ne wo de. Ne da ono.
Ya rigi.
Yo.
Na de ono no. Nti ave yan how expensive democracy is.
Okay.
How much we spend in organizing an election. Next picture no daily graphic 9th July 1999 EC needs 26 billion Ghana cedis. We are cedis.
And pacho I na making
30 cedis no.
Okay. EC needs 26 billion cedis for voters identity cards. Nationwide reopening of voters register. Pacho mo fasa picture na to some farmer.
Ntia no kura mpa.
Ai.
Ye voters register. Ni akwa check yedin.
26
how much it is costing.
Billion cedis.
Billion cedis.
Ai.
Next picture
no daily graphic now 6 July 2000. December 8 elections to cost 22 billion cedis. Pacho mo fatu some farmer 22 billion cedis. Yo. Next picture no weekend agenda 28th February 2003. The cost of democracy EC to spend 474 million cedis on 3 by-elections. Hey!
The by-elections in Numpo.
And no.
How much? 3 by-elections, 474 million. Cost of democracy. Yes, she said again, if we are saying results, no so bad. It is a number secondary school, then go full chop picture. Now, we be about a compound. We chop pictures now, and the following Sunday or van or the now wait, you tell me. And you want to job. And now I don't want it now. Over so sre na wan sre di wani mamu na e di anyawo e bi no results no beba spending all this money no eba oh yewiem ni aka na e kwatoi.
Next picture no. Ghanaian Times, 3rd January 2004. EC needs 212 billion cedis for elections. Hey. Yo. And you see, na kesi pa your ba na yam crash.
Silent here. Next picture.
Yo. Jelly graphic, 1st May 2008. EC wants 41 million cedis.
We ni Ghana cedis no. We no mu bo ani e sikada dem na ya bor bebre pay. Abi ni eduru ho.
Yo. EC wants 41 million Ghana cedis and an additional 7 million cedis in the event of a run-off.
Run-off, bye-bye. A baby mpre nukura say. Internet is a sika ye say no 280 elections no kwa. Anyway.
Daily Graphic, 11th March 2015. Botched assembly polls cost 317 cedis. EC asked for 90 million cedis more.
And we have bought assembly elections numpo. That's any also. Next picture no BFT 4th June 2018 elections. A money washing machine we a asterisk so I'm notice on farmer cost of democracy no be no. Say election I had to say money washing machine. Say a shisika. At the end of the day, you know, if you are not the Ubiabu so be winning, no one could lose. And you know, a dear nature say, the ye, a boy. Ade, Mummy and you win now. I say a big device, another means other than democracy. No, winning now, a additional again, is free. And look at that chain. And I mean, the new word about democracy. Any democracy, any corruption, only and tafo. Almost are a bedfellows. Ain't you know a divine logic is said by say, oh, democracy, the pay, na corruption, they high. Only a twins. Won't be impede democracy and time corruption because only you know they work together. They work together. And unti see it me dream who near who say. I don't think you can say. And we next picture.
Your next picture no. Daily Graphic 25th February 1999. $3.3 million for Obasanjo's campaign in record 30 minutes. But you move on here picture no.
Emra General Obasanjo can say Obejina elections you know within 30 minutes now the campaign team no I raised $3.3 million. 30 minutes
30 minutes
3.3 million and we raised. Officers says can almost mutia no mutia for the sake of you to
offer
in him there edit wom. And you know, the omu ye any democracy, any corruption, you know, difference be.
For difference be any.
Next picture.
Next picture no Ghanaian Times, 27th March 2008. $1 billion raised for U.S. presidential election.
No, the
question Obisa.
The person can be big 12.
Okay.
Ewo eno beginning no
yo we paper na da so no na ye kinkan na $1 billion raised for US presidential campaign. With 8 months to go before the U.S. Presidential election, the candidates have raised almost $1 billion to fund their campaigns, more than the size of the economies of several African countries.
What?
Wow.
1 billion monies raised for presidential campaign. And you say U.S. government any raising for elections individual. Scanning 1 billion no day.
Oh, you say it's more than the size of the economies of several African countries.
America Korea and all election results. And one about them as we see out here no more. Oh, democracy in the pen corruption or corruption in Ghana and the corruption there will be a time and will be out of democracy. And then yatu.
Over and
then yatu myself.
And what democracy now no mujino mo de bo corruption no.
Aden
corruption democracy is saying corrupted.
To be man can
I say the unusual long race for the White House, which began in earnest more than a year ago, has been a cash bonanza, especially for Democrats who are breaking all records. Republicans lag behind but still rake in tens of millions and have time to make up ground in the money game between now and the November 4th national election. Between January 2007 and February, the candidates raised a record $814 million. By the end of this month, analysts expect the total taking in and spent by the candidates and interest groups will reach $1 billion. Over.
What was in the city? Now, when we know Kaya in an earlier presentation, episodes no back, and I can say corporations are there. Senior governments in the world will attend to their needs. And to make it Sikano in Africa, we no more. I don't the financing parties. No more. No too big to be a good because the outcome of the elections, they don't lose.
We lose benefits in about we near they
don't lose at all. It's all who say Akoba say ya naturally say during we no be winning. And this was during the time na Obama Eba.
Okay. America's really taking a big step forward in terms of spending on their elections, said Steve Weissman of the Campaign Finance Institute, a research organization affiliated with George Washington University. Weissman said the three main presidential candidates, Democrats Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, and Republican John McCain, are pulling in a combined total of at least $100 million a month. Figures show the candidates are spending up to 93% of what they have raised. To put the numbers into perspective, 7 African countries or islands each have a gross domestic product of less than $1 billion, according to International Monetary Fund data. They include Sao Tome and Principe, Guinea-Bissau, Gambia, Comoros, the Seychelles, Liberia, and Djibouti. While they were careful not to criticize the American political process, people in some aid organizations mentioned other possible uses for so much money. An official with CARE, one of the world's leading humanitarian organizations fighting global poverty, said Even a fraction of $1 billion US could help tens of millions of people. An additional 150 million US could ensure that 10 million girls could receive quality education. An additional 150 million could help make pregnancy and safe delivery available for 30 million women. Okay, pregnancy and safe delivery available for 30 million women in 10 countries, said Deborah Newman, Senior Vice President for Resource Development at CARE. Newman would not criticize. Newman would not criticize the amount of money being spent on the campaign, saying it was important for Americans to become participants in the political process. But she said, dollars need to be looked at and made room for in people's philanthropic giving for cause like ours and fighting poverty. Okay, offer.
And you want?
We just that question. I say, why so much? Why so much? Experts said the amount being spent in this presidential election are much higher than in most other countries, though still only a fraction of what Americans spend advertising some basic products or eating out in restaurants. A large portion of the money in the United States is spent paying for television and radio time, while some other countries provide broadcast time to candidates, Weissman said. More money is needed also because campaigns in the United States are much longer compared to many other nations. Under the American electoral system, each state holds a nomination contest followed by the November general election. Usually, the battle ends early after only a few states are finished with their nominating contest. But with no incumbent, this election has been different, and both parties have waged a long battle to pick nominees for the upcoming election. We started 2 years out. Even by American standards, that's a long election, said Gary Klaman on Watchdog Group of Ambacho Mary.
And you know, say, if you know, justify, if you know, so condemn. I then see a 2 seconds to say, you need to use one. And dear BMD. And over America, we here for over Ghana, we here for. And you know, then the word democracy more. We are see. I see now you to the
Fancy Sayan Ben a diaba,
a dear Ben Sayan a diaba,
a diabre, I dear Tiffity, Brea see a dear chiri. Kwana Ohiania, who channel yan a ya dinner cosro. I'm a nano, Chese, Alpha Areho.
Now, if it has any buy, no. The first G2 movie, first elections, you know, every election, then go for the abone and Kosana.
No, correct.
Any year,
have your find there and
any year,
and they be crowd, your crowd won't feel cry. A beautiful hobby, now
vote about party. And I bust it. Because a Nipana, you call Yakot, and then a film by, and Sakraibe and Abba. You'll be a general, you'll be a general. And TM
Gabriel.
Yes, you can't, huh? Everyone here who said a certain politician. When I move volunteers and by you, I didn't hear who said a certain. I am Munyan to an amunko.
Of a no metaphor or Honunti.
I made a minion who's almost a free video. I made a minion who a certain okay. Or Munyan too. I won't go on a bit not a free video. Create to be a net of them. Of I don't know how Cassiano. Because school now, school now, without for democracy, now democracy one of the education, so I bring you.
democracy no so crucial in education aba say na education no so ma crucial amaye no say oko school ni wie no amfa wani ankɔkyerɛ hɔ say okɔ akɔyɛ akɔta free bibia afa na ayo so be ketu bibia omumu ahen dodoa nipa ahen nti ɛhɔ na obi ade n'ani ato a omukɔ a obenya V8 adam Ghana sika na hwɛ V8 ene ka sika de to V8 ba akɔpɛ ofa se ka V8 ba akɔpɛ sika no hwɛ eniyama ebetumi ayama nipa community development de be break community bi na so kwabrane chinchina ese oda V8 mu na odam wenum ne niyama ofa enu ti omani abere wo ho na ena wo ka no sese ni nyina no ubie yani ama yahu ama saa niyama we nyina no ehse ye hyase Ghana man ene hyase sorry ne ye ma ye mpanyifo ntia se saa niyama we enum no de me tusie susu se emwa nti ro mbesa saa niyama we a law bi no ma ya omo amend no ejo mo no mo kan amendment na omo amend ko be ko yoyo omo ka ko ye omo sa ko dia to yo the next picture no Ghanaian Times 25th November 2010 money politics is corrupting our democracy Rollins Yera Rollins graduate mo ansakra ansana yo mo fa sa picture nso so mfama ye Yera Rollins na ka no ono ka no say money politics is corrupting our democracy Rollins ene ka ye yo next picture like I say empanyifo ekura ehu bi then so wantimi anya ho hwe edin ho Daily Graphic 10th October 2012 hot money politics Chief Justice declares je mu nyina mahu bi yo mo fa sa picture no so enti so mfama ye na for Chief Justice mu nyina hu so mo ntimi nya ho hwe o wow enti den na ye petema hu nya ho ya ko aka baba oka kan ti ohun ya oka ye over den na timi diaba enti sai o chana ko bi so hu enti den na so be aba ya baba de ro na ye ma for no me say of I see a hoodie ye politicians na accountable and no one the only thing ye mpe kwan a ye be hoodium accountable ye mpe kwan bi e be fa so ye be hoodium accountable and no dey see hwehwe eti kwan but next picture no Daily Graphic Daily Graphic 10th October 2012 Daily Graphic 25th October 2012 money bags threat to our democracy Rollins Yera Rollins and san eka bium e wa ha mo fa sa picture no to so mfama ye e papa de na ga so fa ohun ye pa o Yera Rollins obetra chire no hu niema pa o yes endi no say e kan ye no say democracy is being threatened by corruption there let us say wa wo kan no so na wonye hu tiase because corruption no any democracy no omo twins senior medical kan and we dey no aka say we ya kwa anu o ya kakra no ya be ya tapani nti no ya ntwene mmerechiri enyi kesa ofa ba ko nkonya ba ko omo yeri nya na ndibom endi no ene ewu kwatia corruption no awu pam democracy ba want me retain democracy I want mo kan assistant 2012 ebesine 2024 elections are between 2020 elections are between e dey na see because of way I dance here Rollins na ADO so I say obi hunu bi o we are president watena konwa no so pen e na okika sansem we nyina I guess busuafo mo yehwe niye na ye mpanyifo no omo nim bibi anso omo ntimi enka ho hwe e na omo bu yen fam Daily Graphic 3rd December 2015 corruption on the rise in Africa poll as government fails to stop it. African government in said the economy. On it me assistant B. Sikano ani yesh. Enti no de me kan e wo ha ne say. Yentimi me pe democracy. E ma yen tan corruption. Because corruption is bad. Democracy na bad. Democracy na the corruption in bad. Because the reality is that Kofi Kumi betimi aye politician with ideas and so teku edi teku oni bi.
the amabo who ne worth any the value no is any investment wo the abaya wie no awon saka to me no ade Father Christmas
your investment see
investment na e pedo so the money that's all creative na the money any e bi sika be shame ye nya ye sika untimi hwe obia ndi anu ntino so abedi president na hwe wo mo mutimi so wasene a ubeda bu o mani ntia ubeda
afa untimi asem yeso
ndi den na ebetimi aye ndi President Rollins okan wo huni okan ade na esisan
afa hwe antimi asisa ne party no kra no
bia beka sa wa wo huni ya beka yi bia ade na asisa tumi na bedu nsem utumi hu se ene yeso wasene ube yi ama
yabi
le china bi so wo sa pa ola ba be hwe nim se ba ko ne de se mu hu se di enti no democracy no
ofana se no na se yi fi ho
ano ya se yi fi ho democracy na se oko because as long as a democracy si ho
ne be ko fa mpanyifo aba na omo bi ye de be on be si on so a ono no nyansa ne nimje ndi owo bi na emom no oni koto bombom
sa na so ni bi
aye obi na ba akwaje ebe ma no
sa
nipa no so de onye Father Christmas
oh there me
investment obi anu of your investment so be lose adam me dey do profit
American system no o ma in such a way say o ma make provision e say free be lobbyist ukoko lobby dia o dey enye corruption o so dey o msi here no enti no wu betu akogina companies bia na mu o mmemme ma osika na so aba be wura political circles wo ekwan a obefa so a obe lobby a be nya wo mu na wo ma ye the bid of wo mo mu ma osika de suma ho no so e betumi ehu na next video no aye be hwe no obi ye ya timi ye inya American congressman be 100 esheni next video.
Your next video no corruption in politics. But also video no corruption in politics.
May be the most notable. He was at the center of a massive scandal of brazen corruption and influence peddling. As a Republican lobbyist starting in the mid-1990s, he became a master at showering gifts on lawmakers in return for their votes on legislation and tax breaks favorable to his clients. He was so good at it, he took home $20 million a year. It all came crashing down 5 years ago when Jack Abramoff pled guilty to corrupting public officials, tax evasion, and fraud, and served 3.5 years in prison. Today, he's a symbol of how money corrupts Washington. In our interview tonight, he opens up his playbook for the first time and explains exactly how he used his clients' money to buy powerful friends and influence legislation.
I was actually thinking of writing a book, The Idiot's Guide to Buying a Congressman, as a way to put this all down. But first, I think most congressmen don't feel they're being bought. Most congressmen, I think, can, in their own mind, justify the system, rationalize. Yeah. And by the way, we wanted as lobbyists for them to feel that way.
Abramoff would provide freebies and gifts, looking for favors for his clients in return. He'd lavish certain congressmen and senators with access to private jets and junkets to the world's great golf destinations like St. Andrews in Scotland, free meals at his own upscale Washington restaurant, and access to the best tickets to all the area's sporting events, including 2 skyboxes at Washington Redskins games.
I spent over $1 million a year on tickets to sporting events and concerts and whatnot at all the venues.
$1 million?
Yeah, yeah.
For the best seats?
The best seats.
But the best way to get a congressional office to do his bidding, he says, was to offer a staffer a job that could triple his salary.
When we would become friendly with an office and they were important to us, and the chief of staff was a competent person, I would say, or my staff would say to him or her at some point, you know, when you're done working on the Hill, we'd very much like you to consider coming to work for us. Now, the moment I said that to them, or any of our staff said that to them, that was it. We owned them.
You're asked.
How many congressional offices did you actually own?
We probably had very strong influence in 100 offices at a time.
Come on. 100 offices?
In those days, I would view that as a failure, because at least 335 offices that we didn't.
When Barack Obama and I were literally sitting at a desk in a high-rise in Chicago, beginning to plan how we would try to get this economy out of a ditch. Literally, the first guy I called was John Corzine.
Yeah, me say when you go so I will share a year Wake Up Africa, Jumedie Royal Television so na corruption, democracy Jumedie and when I na America memu. Ono na democracy no over 200 plus years. Me kai say na obi
China say na 250
years. Me kai say na obi interview papa we America ni papa ya Muslim ni na okache ne say Ghana Louis Farrakhan. And Okobo also said Africa is corrupt, bleeding of corona. Say, how dare you say Africa is corrupt? You made Africa to be corrupt. Now, democracy, no, more practicing for how many years? Africa practices for how many years? 200 and something years. But mumu bleeding. It's bleeding of corruption, no. And be congressmen over 100. Papai, we to me alobia tomu nyina. Omu nyina ahye na se a nea obeka se omu nya wo congress ho no enu na hey upa koso bafom omu de betena ho a they are working for papa yi a okasa yi ene ne allies a omu mani sika se mo kona ku disa adwuma we na hwe se omu be ya adwuma maye je se wa tomu na ofa bronimpo congressman ene ya toni na Africa alimentarian ke adofo azem na no pay of adi eche no anu odin o na we no obi tifie onti ase because obeye Jesus sem ene hu niema odi etena hoye na yanhwe yi a se ya na ye dia ena ya brabo no adaso agina at stand still na sorry akọ di ticket awiaso ape visa se wako broni krum yankofo yi o madwini yi a akombetimi aye Ghana yi hwe broni krom no ho ne ekoso democracy enu nti ofase ye hwe na ye nyina fantu ye ofa bato me dase
we dase endi e mani nye onwanwa untimi mpe democracy and time corruption we are typical example
ofa
untimi time corruption
na democracy there on your fa ne ho ni omugu ya nam nakra na kese they go hand in hand
sanity
baby abon democracy bia obi
corruption
baby abon corruption bia no democracy and ama corruption say democracy ni work corruption no kema so no wo ho no de we den corruption e be pi ho
eno na ba democracy create yeah man is say if you did the world with false freedom you have your freedom to do this. You have your freedom to do that. Freedom to do this. To the extent to say, and a cry the democracy promise to say, Upeso Bukra.
Apanya Emma Quine. Of the young news, Usha, almost even constitution you crack the senka. Oh, yes, for crack rana and now a crime. But he said the democracy.
Democracy say, Upeso Wua, Ubewu. Name of many saying, Wua will suffer from any form of terminal illness. If you are not so con, could see you now in 20 minutes. I'm happy there, my bread. The same you.
Democracy ma okay.
Democracy ma okay se ko ne ku.
Kada ko
ntino. Ko no ku ku ho. Osre. Yeah, next picture.
Hey, democracy. Daily Graphic, 2nd January 2002. Netherlands legalized mercy killing. Pajamu basa picture nito so far Oh. I'm sure here in my way. Okay. I know that that's no and that's no na year kind of 2nd January 2002 graphic. Netherlands legalizes mercy killing.
Mercy killing.
The Netherlands has become the first country in the world to legalize euthanasia.
Euthanasia.
Okay, euthanasia. Giving terminally ill patients the right to end their lives. Hey. The new law means that doctors no longer face prosecution for carrying out mercy killings. Like I said, if they are performed with due care, strict conditions apply, with regional review committees made up of legal, medical, and ethical experts carefully judging each patient's request. A second medical opinion will be needed, and the suffering of the patient must be deemed to be unbearable. Only where there is doubt will the case be referred to the public prosecutor. The upper house of the Dutch Parliament approved the legislation last April, and it came into force on January 1st, 2002. Euthanasia has been tolerated for decades in the Netherlands, although last month a court found a doctor guilty of malpractice for helping an 86-year-old former senator to die because he was tired of living.
Yeah. And it's a democracy among the rights. So, but we are cool. Now, cool. And if you're not democracy, any amount. In the young coin, next picture.
Next picture, no, the Accra Daily Mail, 25th March 2002. Paralyzed woman wins right to die. Pacho mufa sa picture no.
Ndi mami we so onya or paralyzed from the con ekosi ni nansi. Ena ni yinsu or the court. And oh you know who had the right to kill yourself. Koneku. Anu democracy. Freedom to die. Next picture.
The Weekend Heritage, 24th January 2003. Appointment with death.
Appointment with death. Switzerland so ebi ohosa.
Okay.
Britain na bi nyama ho. Ejina omo mpeso omo ku omo nyina no. Omo ye tourists, death tourists. And we call tourism. I was Switzerland. £50 on some maybe. Okakukuni. I want the Emrama coin. Onwani memuno na Emrano ibini honji. Ona na woman person woman endi omo life ni nyina.
Like so fanya Netherlands nkwa na sade o ma pass. Is e binum kwa ho ma pass that.
Na America 10 states e practice. Indonesia.
Okay.
10 states e ma coin.
Okay.
Oh, Hong Kong, na bezo you Hong Kong. If you are in same one.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Appointment with death. 24th January 2003. The Weekend Heritage. Up to 50 Britons are queuing to end their lives at a Swiss suicide clinic. The Sun has reviewed, and the center's boss. Ludwig Melanie boasts that he expects a surge of desperate people from the United Kingdom to sign up for a one-way visit. Former journalist Mr. Melanie believes the story of Reginald Crew's suicide will bring extra numbers paying around £50 for an appointment with death.
From paper. It's Mimbasa. Now when Britain 29th November 2024. British Parliament passed assisted dying bill. Nadia, uncould £50 on cost Switzerland and conquer John conclude. Couldn't hold my with me. Over to me, I and you know, almost kind, almost passing a bill. No, yeah, Baba share next week. I need newspapers say what Britain send your message, you know.
Okay. Next picture, no. The weekend. Next paper, no. UK newspapers headlines. 30th November 2024. UK Parliament passes assisted dying bill. Okay. Oh, okay.
You know, Daily Express, Daily Mirror, Daily Guide. And in the Kahunina, Ubia was saying you see presented. Adaya, see there. Now vote in some no. 55 votes different. They won by 55 votes because almost passing they been musing almost pay. They been musu any aji almost pay. And the issue of Britain. And the democracy to me banono. Over so do unko fu nsem nko a dia. Self force freedom no dey man. Acquire the households will be now so odia. Yo. Indino akwa say no. Enya no nko a na egba ya ye dey ka. Utimi hu say akwa say ene kura mpu no. Uhwe emra parliament no pass no na me kan dia besusu say uhwe sika yitua near the year elections uhwe sika candidates raise no mo de finance or mo campaign ya to abama o mo awie no enye Ghana house na me kan general ewiase nyina parliamentarians ikoshia no mo so pass laws a vindicative bonsam say nitumia ni domination was assassin because on only bidding and yeah okay last week can say democracy obadie onim bonsam bidding it is almost ye we nu nyina no a e dia na expect say ebeko e dia amaye it is a bibia no we beko amaye dia let us akwa to say bonsam bidding ena ye entino na eno de wo eho eno no na democracy e can be about ye besa aba bidding no so okay by nya ye ntwentwe so kakra democracy kru ya e promise press freedom ore otu ana ayi ye mamu ha everyone DJ press press freedom eniema bebebe ekosu wiase this office mo asan wakwa akohia bi no wo ba be catch the press freedom Mr. Wa bibi and her friend press freedom next picture no
Ghanaian Times 29th May 2000 press freedom to express what eno ya asembisa obisa mo fasa picture no so mfama ye okay
okay eno ni asembisa the next picture na be lead you to
okay nti we ye asema obisa na ye call the next picture no so o say what press freedom? And also a question. Mufasa and no and to so and famaye.
Have you king kai mine?
Okay. Yo, we know paper no no. Aha. And that's one. Okay, I'll say we are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. Like I said, omo de niema tete asia omo for press freedom bi o wa omo da omo say omo timi aye ne sa keeping niema in secrecy for over 40 years ti ye da mo say some aye ne sa maye yo like I say ni omo pese ye hu no ade na omo de aba na mum niema na omo de bu ye kom ye ni de and it stand in secrecy yo and I must say press freedom ti muso na obetena ti so tobe it would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subjected to the lights of publicity during those years. But the world is more sophisticated and prepared to march towards a world government. The supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national auto-determination practices in past centuries. David Rockefeller, June 1991.
Yes, ono
kasai o dia seda we. Hana David Rockefeller kasa dia na gese nsam wo ho. There is no such thing as an independent press in America. If we accept that of little country towns. You know this and I know it. Not a man among you dare utter his honest opinion. Were you to utter it, you know beforehand that it would never appear in print. It is the duty of a New York journalist to lie, to rival, to toady at the feet of Mammon, to sell his country and his race for his daily bread, or what amounts to the same thing, his salary. We are tools and vessels of the rich behind the scenes. We are marionettes, puppets. We are marionettes. These men pull the strings and we dance. Puppets. Our time, our talents, our lives, and our capacity are all the property of these men. We are intellectual prostitutes. John Swarting, editor of the New York News. And I can't wait. Not a single announcement will reach the public without our control. Even now, this is already being attained by us, as much as all news items are received by a few agencies in whose offices they focus from all parts of the world. These agencies will then be already entirely ours and will give publicity to only what we dictate to them. Protocol 12 of the Learned Elders of Zion. I say what is being offered as press freedom in Europe and America is a remotely controlled outlet for selected information flow to deceive the public while concealing a high-handed media power serving the powerful dynasties and bloodlines and their conspiracy for global control. World news, political, economy, social, and ecclesiastical is available under copyright to newspapers worldwide. In this way, psycho-political control of the world's inhabitants is subtle achieved. The Illuminati controls all the world's news. The Illuminati controls all the world's news agencies and the large media conglomerates, which include the Times of London, the Observer, Christian Science Monitor, New York Times, Herald Tribune, Washington Post, Time Warner Incorporation, Newsweek, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, U.S. News and World Report, Washington Times, the Time Mirror Company, Viacom Incorporation, Turner Broadcasting System Incorporation, Chicago Tribune, The Atlantic Monthly, American Spectator, and Novosti Press.
Press freedom na ya kanu ewe. Press freedom ya kanu ewe. Na office ya boa yen hwe last.
Abaze we areho.
Yen hwe last video.
Areho. The last video no ya media control to conceal the elite conspiracy. Pacho sa video no more than amuja enfengu maye na ye.
About 90% of the international media is owned by 9 media conglomerates. The companies owned by these media conglomerates are too many to mention, so I'm just going to show you the most important brands that we all know. Viacom CBS is the parent company of, among others, all CBS channels, Paramount, where the most famous movies and series in the world come from, MTV, Comedy Central, Nickelodeon, the popular British Channel 5 and the popular Australian 10. Guess who the largest shareholders of Viacom CBS are? Before we look at the other major conglomerates, let's not forget to mention our extremely powerful streaming monopolists, Netflix and Amazon Prime, both of which belong to the same shareholders. Then AT&T, which is the parent company of Warner Brothers, HBO, Discovery Channel, CNN, Cartoon Network, TNT, DC, and many other well-known brands. Guess who the largest shareholders of AT&T are? The third one is the all-powerful News Corp. This company owns many of the most well-known national and regional newspapers, magazines and TV channels in the US, the UK and Australia. The shares of News Corp are owned by the American multi-billionaire Rupert Murdoch and by the institutional investors we see everywhere else. News Corp's sister company is Fox Corporation, which is also one of the most powerful media conglomerates on Earth. Just like News Corp, it is owned by the Murdoch family and the usual investors. Then the Walt Disney Company, a conglomerate of unimaginable dimensions, with many subsidiaries such as Pixar, Marvel, 20th Century, Lucasfilm, ABC, National Geographic, and Hulu. Who are their biggest shareholders? Another powerful media conglomerate is Comcast. This is the parent company of NBC, DreamWorks, Universal, the Sky Group, Focus Features, Xfinity, and many other major media brands. As you would expect, their largest shareholders are Vanguard and BlackRock. I could go on for hours and show that in almost every country on Earth, the local media is in the hands of these kind of conglomerates, which in turn are owned by our institutional investors or by extremely rich and powerful elite families. In the UK, for example, virtually all popular newspapers and magazines are owned by the Daily Mail Group, Reach, and the aforementioned News Corp. In the Netherlands, the entire media is in the hands of the Persgroep, Mediahuis and Bertelsmann. And in Germany, the entire media is either controlled ProSiebenSat.1, Axel Springer, And again, Bertelsmann, which is also a conglomerate of unprecedented dimensions. Not only is this the parent company of the largest book publisher in the world, Penguin Random House, and owner and founder of BMG Music, Bertelsmann also controls a large part of the European media through their subsidiary RTL, a company with 67 TV channels, 10 streaming platforms and 38 radio stations. Bertelsmann is owned by the ultra-rich Bertelsmann-Mohn family, who openly collaborated with the Nazis. Because of this, Reinhard Mohn was held as a prisoner of war in the US. Besides RTL, Bertelsmann also owns a large part of the French mainstream media. And together with Mediaset, the powerful Italian conglomerate of former President Berlusconi that controls the most important part of the Italian mainstream media, they also own all popular Spanish TV channels. Now, to complete the picture, let's look at where the news comes from that all these media outlets are feeding us on a daily basis. The various news media do not produce their news themselves, but use information and images from news agencies such as Reuters, the Dutch ANP, and the French AFP. These organizations are anything but independent. Reuters is owned by the powerful Canadian Thomson family. The ANP is owned by Dutch investor Kees Omen, and the AFP is largely financed by the French government. The main journalists and editors who work at our media or at these news agencies are affiliated with important journalistic organizations, such as the European Journalism Centre. These are one of the largest funders of media-related projects across Europe. They train journalists, produce study materials, give internships at, for example, the ANP, and work closely with the world's largest corporations such as Google and Facebook. For journalistic analysis and opinion, all the major media outlets in the world use Project Syndicate, the most powerful organization within its field. It supplies the 506 most important media outlets in 156 countries. Project Syndicate, plus an organization such as the European Journalism Centre, together with the news agencies, are the connecting link between all the different media outlets around the world. When newscasters read the news from their teleprompters, there is a good chance that the text comes from one of these organizations. As a result, the global media is often synchronized in its reporting.
We are concerned about trouble and trying to be responsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 In September 2020, the European Journalism Centre and Facebook set up a fund to support selected news organizations to do the reporting during the corona crisis. Let's see who the organizations are that, along with the news agencies, produce our news. At Project Syndicate, we see the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Open Society Foundation, and the European Journalism Centre. Then the European Journalism Center itself. Again we see the Gates Foundation and the Open Society Foundation. And they also receive large donations from Facebook, Google, the Dutch Ministry of Education, Culture and Science, and from the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The organizations that are at the heart of our information flow are funded by the non-profit organizations of the same elite who also controls the entire media. However, a part of our tax money goes to these organizations as well.
Abusia aya wake up Africa Jumadi na wadi kutu awche Royal Television so me hu kra dwene mi enwanwa na ampa ofa tumra na wa kiresie o say media no press freedom edaya no eye anu asem keke. In reality there is nothing like press freedom ye ni bi eye enipakuo bi ekenkan papers a ekire sa elite ya sa nipakuo kakra ya na omo control wiase no ne a omo pese menu mienu ya so te no na ya ni hu no ne omo pese ye hu ne ye te no eno omo de ba nti no obehwe a the media stations akese news outlets akese na eye akese wodi omo na news no asem ne ba omo ka edimu na amanfo ho na amanfo ba kotwe bia ansa na paba bia no eyo wono m control ni nyina nti omo ena omo sem no be ne pese wote no ne ye de amom say hey mo security ne nko akese nti wo hwe omo ka news na asem ba ko ba eno na we beka eno na we beka eno na we beka ena example na no fa eme ye kire no I say it's dangerous democracy. Yes, mobo. Na ahaya na obenya djumadi ni sei. Ahaya authentic. Ahaya na information no obenya ni sei of ambacho.
Yo mi da sikovi. Emre ni honti yemfa bibia ma wie se na kan no. Parliament ye to abahwe sika ye seye. Ye di elections. Any day do no a candidate no so benya o so betu agumu nkofo aso na sene ya invest we ni mu na de eba no o mu ko share parliament nso a na ya pass emra favor bonsam bidding any atiti ho no mu a ye ntino na ye boka se egu na ye se nyem se ye ni mu a na de ye hu se de ye no oba ade na ye ko atia no enso ye nim se onu nti ene ye ko atia enso me ye hwe next picture
next picture no International Express 24th November 1998 exclusive. My secret allies rule the world, the devil speaks out. But I'm first picture no and just on for my
any engineer we are politics enye oba ade o bonsam building and a politician bia was as isu oh yeah you are doing the bidding of bonsam and your body and a winni mo ye ka kiro nti anu nti no e dey na next picture no e kan dey
next picture no say Ghanaian Times 15th August 2003 more countries allowing gay marriages, Vatican denounce practice. But you move picture
and you know more countries allowing countries one minimum say homosexuality e oba de ejuade
ofa omunim pa
and ya hihye mra euthanasia wa obetumi akun wa na una agbo ho no akun
da bi ofa
and so democracy makwan say opeso owu nko ade a obu enti one bidding and we are say ayeye na ye nimu a medimanu besi ne no. The whole essence of democracy, global democracy, ni say, you create a commonwealth of ungodly nations. Our money be chwere ejina, o ma kwetia obadie, and in the righteousness, e was asasi. And you wouldn't make the whole essence of global democratization and say we are see create a commonwealth of ungodly nations. One more best sorry, one more quotia of body and in the righteousness. It was assassin. Kofi Manuels.
Over. Abusiano da wasipa se wade wano abawie ofa no be na wie enti no momeye na montwa line into my offer wase ma kan yi ma me follow a branch me money din wo social media no so na branch no ohwemu ankofo di ne ho dance pa se ba huhumu a oyobi a wa bin wo huhumu pa a mo chese o ye grandmaster mo kana sem kana get so 33 degree in sa aspect no na offer minya adadie follow no kama mabeto aba no sie ni pa na asofo a ewo Ghana ha ba abato a no ma gyagina mu so no mo ye nyame nipa no kasa fom so no na o chechire binum tumia na onka no straight na so o ka ne badimba kasa awutia hu se democracy o ka ne pen a kire se democracy abato be bie ni ho abekasa nyankopon da waka okasi su dua Kose nyema omoye no na afie NDC ni MPP no ka sacrifice ni swings ni nyema no ka ho asema ofa na nya asem keto enu nti onu oye huhum nipa ba spiritual issues a omo deal with her na kese abrante ni chirichiri mu a na ehu na oyo obi a utie sa nyema na obema wahu se ampa ofa ye nsua de eno ena ahaye no hello udin papa afrefi Royal TV ni Royal Television ni yeti opa udin ene papa afrefi
eba so from Godfrey na kaka free soko
yo yeti o wasem
over yenda for okoko asepa na nchira amate over we are see akoye bibio
okay anokre yeti o pa official. Okay. Hi, greetings to you great leaders. Haha. If those introduce democracy to us is stealing, then who be Ghana politician not to steal? Hey, in fact, see the way I have come to my consciousness. Thank you, great leaders. Hello, Udini Fagwa Brevi. Okay, Bacho Yetio.
Yo, I don't so you better of fast.
Yo.
Alam. Nchechiri shima yehu de apostle fast.
Okay.
Kabla kumi with the master wa yanga. The dia ikuni will be an na ka wobe. TV na so amaye. Ama to be person organ ya. O to me adwan ya. Cause na so mo ye free TV na.
Okay. Yeah, that's say wakaye nti ye be ma MCR4 edi hu juma. Na omahwa maye we odi message nbe amfa ni din amma we say wofa yaw looks fresh in his wear. Your tailor is smart. Okay, yo. Hello, dini fa kwa ofrefi.
Yo, efreme Mr. Jenfi because Africa kumas.
Okay, yetio.
Okay. Yeye yechiamu na kakla America ni say yes na nkasa na tanye memu na hoyi obe ni emenye na ayango na timi gidi ese odi fabonkumo odi fenifon no democracy nenye odi masoja banso anonso bibi oho odi mai for so ahi forces mark na wo konso di badia wajia wono eni se di baba hwe onyankopon achiri kan wode no hwama no nyina so wajie ni ba bia ka Kristo mu ti obi anya beto Kristo de mu na wajie o na maki.
Yo, one of these and other teacher. I say, good afternoon. I'm Kojo from Elmina. What Wafa said is true. The bidding of the devil is what countries are doing. Okay. Hello, Dini Fakwa Ufrefi. Okay. My name is Gaddafi from Achim Tafo. Brilliant message. Thank you. I love the program. Hey, okay. Mikromo Endra na me wo yo. Hello, Dini Fakwa Ofrefi.
We did the Bismarck.
Okay.
Everyone.
Yetio Bismarck.
We program something you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, no one of them the chief of not to na no program na ho come papa democracy dey do na fo
sa papa
kede democracy ya wale ni se ni ko fo ba se oni me twento na ma wale onya ne ko tuna ya woni nye hola so woni ni jaya ya ba jojo pade jina amo ba no democracy ai sa na chere sa no start
ni
kede democracy ai soja fo soja ni e ka galamse ke yemu nada ke brefi gala
yo yeda wano ase say odi democracy is the foreign policy of the United States of America but not for Africans. Democracy is not freedom but perfect evil. Kofi Asenso yo eno de ne de e bai. Hello dini fa kwa Afrefi. Hello dini fa kwa Afrefi.
Hello me pato e frene George me frene kawe.
Yo yeti o.
Yo o Fabio nyana kawo. Na mi kasa ko sana ma yo ko ko nti. But the government is saying that the Pankwan is here to move the other in the Kalakron.
Yo,
I just said, this time in the Diana, so when you do it, you say, I'm going to see you. The other country, I'm going to follow my brother.
Yate.
The first in Thailand, but
yeah, question that be a wow share no, or the question that be a wow first second one no, a question that be a no, a royal television, 12 for Bope. Na ya she dwumadi ase 2 hours 12 to 2 ane Israel consult okodwa manso de biba we ya hwehweniwa quantum spectacle me pacho we wunya bia waniwa se ebia wani na prunsuo esum na ba wani no so bon se so ya utum wo ho na opusa apart from glaucoma we wunya bia beboa ye fa nkenkan ade ebeboa ahili wani no o sha na bedu babi no na wanya yaresa edbanesa meto ne din abusuanti amfa onua bi owafa bi osiwa bi obi a ono so wani wayare no na ono so afa wura na kyese ode bone ho ban age na yaresa eno nti number obetimi afre na ba bi a wo Ghana mantua bia no wonsa aka bi no 0244 888 910 na 0206 519335 we ofra wonsa ebeka bi yo yera amankwa owner of Royal Television me pacho freedom mind SM infantu wanim se yewura yeda se brese wakayen na wama yensa invitation yensa aka invitation no mpanyifo se me infantu wanim se yensa aka yewura amankwa owner of Royal Television, the CEO, the boss. Me pacho ye ba school no oba no mayen oni yen din koma since papa no wa bobiu e ba djuma semu a aboma na unya panyi bi sa na do ho bona e boawo Ghana mo me yen hwehwe mpanyifo sa ne yen fa ye ho mom na omun guide yen se ne be ya djuma sem yen so mrante ne mabawa na ya ba no ye betini agina ye na so ne yen so yetimi ayi bibi o hwe nipa hodo a papa yi na papa yi so a o training wo mtete wo fashion radio TV yewra oba de nhira no koso ano nye okese anti free the mind mpanyifo se mema waso nte se invitation no omunsa ka na omasom yada wo aseye pa MCA me obreka ka na mebre na ayema okay MCA se mebre no ayema anu nti ene abusua na aha ena dwumadie no yedo kettins no panyi amene no edi dwumai wo fa ya opoku dankwa a oye executive director de ma eku efe free the mind movement ene de ne ba no Israel Nkrumah wantimi amepiem osonfo Kofi Kume ne me na metra dwam se tiamefo ohun bia bia Kofi Kume meje wo so abo ade de dum ye ya da sene ye besensia makram